start again. It's a redskin.
So this is the ever elusive Type B radiator cap. I bet you thought it was going to be a K-tuned, right? Nope. So, I was about to be fucking pissed. I was like, that fucker don't fit, but it does. All right. Yeah. K-tuned makes really great parts. Their customer service sucks. That's why I went with the Skunk 2 cap. So, yeah. Finally got this on. Plus, everything on the top end is pretty much Skunk 2 anyways. This. The housing for the VTEC. A lot of stuff from Skunk 2 on the top end. Pretty much all the stuff on the bottom end, well, not bottom end, but the lower, that it's not as visible, is K-tuned. Like I say, make good parts, customer service, not so great. There's a big old box for that little thing. And just to show you, I'm not lying to you about how many radiator caps I have. I even forgot that I had the Skunk 2 one. But I got Koyo, Skunk 2, K-tuned, regular one, and I think I have 2 other ones laying around somewhere that didn't fit, but they all have that same thing. They all look the same. They're identical. So, yeah, this is finally the last thing I needed for that part. All I need now is to do the lines from here up to the IACV, and there's another one on the other side of this hose that goes up that way too, and that'll kind of complete the cooling system. Everything else is in there. The fans are actually wired up. They just got to be connected to power. Oh, and the overflow tank. I still got to figure out where I'm going to mount that. Kind of want to mount it back over here somewhere. I don't know. I don't want to take up this spot. I was thinking I could put it like right here somewhere, but that'll kind of just, I don't know, kind of make that place cluttered up. Okay, we're all set up. Go through some of the things that I use to loom some of the wiring. You need a small torch, butane torch. You can use electrical tape, but I like using this cloth type wrap because it's not as thick and it conforms a little easier. A pair of scissors, some diagonal cutters, and some heat shrink tubing. You can get this assortment at Harbor Freight. They also sell, which I also have, are the long, like 5-foot rolls, and but I normally use these smaller ones. Also, some of these little cable ties, little tiny ones. Use like a good quality one, because if you do get like the ones, well, from my experience, the ones that I've found that when I use like from Harbor Freight, if you get them past a certain point, they snap around this area right here. So I usually like to spend a little bit more money and get the nicer cable ties. I mean, all the other stuff works just fine that I've, at least, you know, when I've used it. Okay, so now on to the actual wiring process or looming process. This is the headlight terminal and the turn signal. You have the high and low beam, you have the ground, and on this one you have the power and you have the ground as well. Now the grounds can be connected together. You can separate them however you would like, but leave at least, I don't know, 1.5 inches room so you can move it around. And then the rest of the stuff can be kind of run inside the loom. Now, you have to leave this one a little bit further out because when you plug it in, it goes further, you know, it reaches into the fender and plugs in, and then this kind of sticks out, you know, and plugs in that way. So you need a little bit of room here. So if you want to mark it off, you can grab some of this tape. And then just mark off kind of where you need to run the line to. So that kind of gives you an idea. So now this line right here, since it is going to be sticking out further, I'm going to run a piece of loom up to this point, up to right here, and then connect it up to, well, you'll see. So we need a piece of loom, and this loom is, they call it 1/4 inch, but it's more like 3/8 or even 1/2 inch. It expands, so it's a little bit wider than a 1/4 inch. But when you order it, you order 1/4 inch. I also have some 1/8 inch coming in, and I have some thicker stuff, but I don't need that now. So usually what I do is, so it doesn't fray, I will kind of heat the end just a little bit, and then squeeze it together. So when it dries together. Just like that. So now you got to run this line. Well, actually, you got to cut however much you need. We only need, what's that, about 6 inches, I guess. And you can just cut it with a pair of scissors. And again, heat up both ends. And then do this one right away while you're at it, so you don't forget. Alright, so now I've already run a piece of heat shrink tubing to the end there. You need something thick enough to where this will slide into. So now we just run it through. Right through the end. And I have some tape on the end of the wire so it doesn't catch. Now you can just run it through. Because it's a short piece, it's not as hard to run through. Okay, so now we're up to where we want the loom to go to. And now you just kind of stuff the end of the loom into the, if you're having a little bit of trouble to do it, putting it in, just grab a little bit of the tape, because sometimes the edges catch. from the loom, and you just kind of squeeze the end together, put some tape on it, and then just run it kind of tight. That way it kind of cinches all those little fibers together on the loom. And then you could just slide it over the tape. So we got a little bit of wire left, so you know, in case you need to test it, you know what colors to look for. And now you heat up the make sure to do it all the way around, because if you just do one side, it'll just kind of just heat up one side and it'll kind of look kind of funky. So that's pretty much how it needs to look. And then after you're done with that, you get one of the cable ties. Do it the right way. And then just kind of cinch it up, and then snip off the end, and that's so the wire doesn't slide inside the sleeve. So now that we got that done, we got to put another piece of heat shrink tubing on the end of this side. And there we go. Another piece of, or another cable tie around this area. There we go. So now we got to connect this area up to here. Now if I had my 1/8 inch loom coming in, I would probably do this one up to about right there, and then connect these two, cut it right there, and then just put a ring for the ground. But I don't have them yet, so I can always do that later, I guess. So now we got to do this one, this green one, all the way to the end. And actually, this one's not even long enough, so yeah, normally I would like this to be the same length, so I can have, you know, enough wire and cut it, you know, if I needed to. But yeah, I mean, I could run the loom up to here, and then if I had to loom it, because this has to go all the way to the other side to where the PDM is. But actually, that's what I think I'm going to do, is I'll go ahead and then just loom it up to right here. And if I need more, I can put some more. And I'm going to tape this onto here, so when you're running it through the loom, it doesn't get caught up. So again, kind of figure out how much you need. Let's put this right there. It'd also be nice if you had like a really long work table where you can just kind of do all of your work. Makes it a little bit easier. So I guess I'll use about that much. So we got our length of loom. Now we have to put another piece of the shrink tubing to wrap it around that end. And usually they come in lengths like this. I just cut it in half and use 1/2 for each end. Again, just run it through all the way to the end. Alright, so there's that heat shrink tubing all the way to the end. Now I gotta run the loom all the way through the wiring. Now this one's a little trickier because it gets caught up in the way. I'll show you how to do that. So get one end in. And take it as far as it'll go. That's about up to right there. So now, this is the end of the wire on the inside. Kind of scrunch it up like this, and then hold it on this end, and then push it down. And then you just keep on doing that, and it'll kind of work its way down. And there we go. So we're to the end, to where the heat shrink tubing's at. Pull it back a little bit. You'll have to put some more tape on that connection right there. Okay. Now, slide the heat shrink tubing over the wiring. Now run this back to the end of your wiring so it's completely tight. And there we go. That's how I do my loom. Now, if you want to go the extra step, you can go ahead and you can purchase an actual printer that labels the wiring for you. You can get it labels actually a piece of heat shrink tubing, and then you put that tubing on, shrink it, and then you put a piece of clear over it, and then shrink it. A lot of guys that do engine harnesses and stuff like that will use that. It just makes it look a lot nicer. Again, I'll do the same thing once I get my 1/8 inch here, all the way down, and put another ring, solder on a ring connection right here on the end, and you got yourself a really nice wired up headlight harness. If you have any questions, just comment below, and maybe I can answer it. Like I say, I don't do a lot of these, but I know how to do them. And this one done. I do have to disconnect, or not disconnect, but remove my fender so I can run it on the other side like I did this side. If you haven't seen it yet, you can look at my previous video, and it'll kind of show you how it looks like installed. I'm waiting on some LED bulbs to come in so I could actually hook up the ends of the pieces there. And I used these pieces right here that I used for the headlights were a little dirty, so I just used some of this stuff here and just sprayed it, and then used a brush, like a bristled brush like this, to scrub it, and then sprayed it some more, and then that cleaned them up real nice. And I did it for both of them. I did it for the headlight and the turn signal, and that just kind of cleans them up a little bit. But yeah, so like I say, if you guys have any questions, let me know, and hopefully I can answer them. Ended up taking the fender off this side and finished up the loom and hooked up that ground right there, and ran the wiring through with the clamps, and it was long enough, so that works. And then went ahead and put some clamps on the wiring for the fan. Put a couple there. One on this side again with the riv nuts, and a couple of stainless bolts. But you know, that's pretty much all of the wiring. And I was going to start running the inside wiring, but I'm still waiting on that that 2-gauge wire to run all the other stuff. So hopefully next week, I think it's coming in next week, I can start making the harness for the battery, starter, and alternator, and have that stuff all wired up. So that should work pretty good. And yeah, I brought this little tool chest that I had in my other little shed that I do, like my metal work and stuff like that, my forging. I just had a bunch of junk in there, and so I emptied it out, and I kind of put like the wiring stuff, and, you know, just things like that. And it also another catch-all, or I gotta constantly be cleaning all this crap, even here and at the shop, at the store, because it's like I just, I start working something and I put it down, and it just starts piling up. So I gotta get in the habit of just kind of cleaning it up after I'm done. So yeah, this is done for today, and hopefully you guys watched the video today. I just uploaded that went through making the pedals and mounting the battery and all that other stuff, and a couple other little things that I was doing. And but yeah, if you guys are still with me, hopefully, after this is part 32. I don't know how many, I see videos and they're like, oh, part 26, part 27, but they're making like something like a sword or something like that. This is a whole car. So I could understand, why that would be so many parts. But this is done for today. I guess I'll put this away. Last night, the temperature dropped. I know it's supposed to be starting to be winter, but it got down to 28 degrees. And I had to actually leave from in here pretty early, because it was so cold. And so yeah, I had put the fender back on and started doing some other things, and then I just started freezing, and I was like, all right, I'm going back inside. But yeah, I'm done now. It's about 8:30, so I think that's it for tonight.